Fred, well, again, thank you for doing. We're going to get better chairs one of these times. You don't have to sit on these stools. It's good, but thank you. For those who don't know you, just tell us where you are, where you live, your kids, kind of what life is right now.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Fred Chambers. I am a minister at Straight and Narrow Way Missionary Baptist Church. This is my lovely wife, Tysha Chambers. So just as an introduction, you look up here, you see two people, but actually we're one person. Because that's how we operate. And so I just want to say thank you for having us and hope we learn something from each other today.
I'm Tysha, his other better half. I'm a mother of 5. I adopted 2, gained a bonus kid, but birthed 2. So is that 5 or 6? And like he said, we're one. Usually when you see one, you see the other. Whether it's good, bad, or whatever, it's Tysha and Fred. I'm an educator for the largest district in Wisconsin, Milwaukee Public Schools. I'm a foster parent. We're both foster parents. And I'm the second lady because his mother is the first lady. That's it.
That's great. That is great. So tell us, both of you grew up in the church. Tell us about just, faith growing up. And, or kind of give us your life story sort of in a nutshell, each of you, and how you met and here you are and all of that. So, Fred, let's start with you.
Well, you want to know how we met or how I grew
Well,
up?
I grew up in this place and went to school here. Yeah.
I grew up in Milwaukee, of course. I attended Whitnell High School in Greenfield. So I went to a predominantly white school. So when I went there, that was a culture shock for me. I'm not gonna lie, because I was used to being around my own kind, and then I got dropped there, and you're looking like, where am I? But going to that school gave me a good experience on how to deal with people that aren't like me. And now, me and the people that I grew up with in my class, we're all still good friends to this day. I worked at Freighter Hospital. That's where we met when I was 16. She was a little older than me.
Don't be telling my age.
I got fired from Freighter because I had a problem with rules, especially stuff that I don't agree with or I think is wrong. I'll say something about it. So I left there. I moved to, my sister got a job in North Carolina. I moved there for 3 years. I was going to school. And then I got tired of going to school. So I quit going to school. And I moved back and I opened my own business because I'm a business person. So I opened a medical transport service. Started with 1 van, a few years, got up to like 30 vans. Sold that, started buying property. And so that's what I do now. But in the midst of that, me and her, we were struggling together as young people up to this point. So I'll let her give you her half of the story.
He ain't tell it all the way. Okay, so I grew up in Milwaukee. I went to Washington High School, predominantly black school, Milwaukee Public School District School. Then I went on to college. So I went to Concord. First, I went to Mount Marion. I was like, oh, no, this is just like too much, or whatever. So I ended up graduating from Concordia University out here in Mequon. And then going back to me and this guy right here, we both worked at Freighter. Like he said, I was just, 4 years older than him. Wasn't thinking about him. But we had mutual friends. And when he left and went off to North Carolina, we still, had our mutual friends. By the time he returned back, my friend husband said, "Hey, Fred wouldn't mind seeing you." I was like, "Oh, just give him my number, have him call me." Anyways, make a long story short, that day that we called, we set a date that we was just gonna meet up so we could, just catch up with one another. From that day on, we have been like pretty much inseparable. When you see me, you see him, because we started out as friends. So, long story short, we were friends. And then we just ended up dating and getting married in 2006 of May 27th. So we just had an anniversary, and we've been together ever since.
That's great. Good for you all. Good for you all. And I know we got Caden with us, and your oldest daughter's in Washington, right?
Kentucky.
And Kentucky.
She just graduated college, and now she's getting ready to go to University of Kentucky because she wants to be a lawyer. So they just gave her, and she's in the Army, and she's a Thurgood Marshall College Fund ambassador. She's over housing in Washington, D.C. She does a lot. So we just blessed to have a kid like that. It ain't because we did anything,
Yeah. And then Messiah is
Our son, he's 16. And he's a sort of a basketball star. He's budding. So we're enjoying that. He's in the 10th grade, getting ready to be a junior, going to play football. So that's exciting for us too. Then we have our other son, Isaac. We adopted him a few years ago. He's one of the ones we adopted. He wants to be a farmer when he grows up. And then we have Caden, who's here, little boy you probably seen, and he's an actor. Yeah, he does acting, and he had the experience this a few months ago.
Yes.
He performed at the Kennedy Center. Yeah, which was a dope experience.
No.
And then also with that, with his acting, if you guys didn't get a chance to see Dream Quickie Dream, he was a star of the Dream Quickie Dream.
Donald Driver's book story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was baby Donald Driver.
That's great. That is great. So tell us, you both grew up in the church, and tell us what faith meant to you, what faith means to you, what God means to you, why that's important.
He likes to talk all the time, so he can go.
Well, I've been in church all my life. Okay, my father's been a pastor all my life. So I've been going to church, but as I've gotten older, we have a lot of faith discussions, me and Jeff and a lot of people. And I told him the other day, faith is my lifestyle. Okay, faith is a lifestyle to me, because what is the meaning of faith? The evidence of things not seen, and what? The substance and of things hoped for. Faith means you're always hoping for something. And in church here, our ultimate hope, and we feed this, is to get to heaven, because you haven't seen it, and you hoping that their heaven is there. But that's even with your own lifestyle. You hope for better health. You hope to have a strong family. You hope your kids don't get in trouble. You hope your family prosper. So that's my lifestyle. That's why I take risks the way I do. Because I believe if God say I can have it, I'm going to try to go get it. If I don't get it, he didn't want me to have it. It ain't going to be because I did not try.
So for me, faith is just everything for me. It's just being able to just walk out, just walk out and just, I don't have the fear. Because I teach for Milwaukee Public Schools, I also, our school is actually housed in the Milwaukee County Jail. So everybody's like, how do you do that? How did you do that? I was like, growing up, I just was always taught that, you know, you only fear one person, and that's God. So I just move in the faith of, you know, everything, whatever happens is going to happen. But God didn't make no mistakes in what was going to happen. So I just move on a way that stay prayed up.
Yeah. No, that's good. I remember you told me you tell your kids that, right? Hey, you know, Messiah, go do something. You're hoping for, right? And
yeah, we tell our kids this. We'll help you be anything. If you want to be the best garbage man, we'll help you. The only thing we will not help you be is a nothing. Because you don't need help to do that. And we don't consider ourselves as nothing. So if you want to do that, that's fine. And I always tell Jeff, there's a book. It says, how do you know you can walk on water if you never get out of the boat?
That's good. That's good. Is there, as you think back in your life, and maybe this will get us into some other things, but is there a moment that you think of that was significant for you, or you knew that God was there, or was a reminder of God's presence with you, or a moment in your life, or maybe several moments that you sort of hold on to as, hey, this is evidence of God's work in my life or in the world?
I can say for me, and it's just a little bit different, like, I just always felt like I was a little different, like the little different kid growing up, just because of my life circumstances that I was put into, you know, when you have parents or whatever and stuff like that. But I just remember being in school, being on the playground, and I was just always different. Like, I was always the helper. I'm always like, oh my God, like, come on here, like, just being the leader. And I remember asking my aunt, I was like, why is it, you know, I'm always like helping everybody else and nobody's doing that, you know, doing anything for me. And she said, you know what, God has planted, you know, my little leader right here, and you the leader. So that just kind of stuck with me growing up. And then so as I just move or whatever, I'm always just put in different leader positions where I'm always just thrown out there. And I just always go back to that conversation that I had with my aunt when I was 7 years old about why is it this or why is it that? Because I was always the kid that just asked questions. No matter what it is, you can tell me don't touch that. I want to know why shouldn't I touch that? Like, I just needed to always like ask questions because I felt like it's a part of clarity. Not knowing at that young age that that's what it was, but as I budded out, I just understand that it was just me trying to always get clarity.
For me, I just look at the small blessings that I have around me. Like, there's a lot of people I grew up with, they didn't have a mother and a dad. I had that. There's some people didn't have a support system growing up. I had that. I look at little stuff like that. Just, you know, that, like, even like when I was telling him, when I first started my business, the first check I got was 10 cents. Okay, and I had bills to pay. But I prayed, and I made it through. I got to 30 vans. So when stuff like that happens, you know God has to be involved. Just like I was telling you about our kids. We got some dope kids, but it ain't because of what we doing. God just blessed us to be some good kids' parents. So you know God's working.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is great. So tell us, you know, we have said before that we're just trying to get to know one another, right? Us, our church and your church and the folks down there, it's great. But obviously it's significant in some way that we're a predominantly white church in Ozaukee County and y'all are a predominantly black church in Milwaukee County, right? And what is something or some things that you want us to know about your church or your community, or as we get to know one another? What's something we ought to know as a church? Or you
Good.
want us to know? Yeah.
What do you want to know?
We're learning it already.
That's the
This is
question.
great.
What do you want to know?
One thing that I would say is that for all of us that sit here today is that we should know that no matter what color you see me as, because I'm not black, I'm brown, you know, right? Because this is black, right? So, but no matter what color you are, when you pull that layer of skin off and we bleed, we all bleed the same. I didn't grow up in it. I'll say this: I didn't grow up in an era where whites over here, blacks over here. That was my ancestors. That was my great grandparents and different stuff like that. I just know that it's real. It happened based off what I see on TV or based off what I heard, right? But I feel like what all of us here, we got to get past that. Because we're all human. We're all the same, just different shades. But I feel like we have to get past that. I may not be professional all the time, because I have to say, Lord, forgive me, because I do have a potty mouth, whatever, right? But I'm real about mine. And we just have to, I want you guys to know you have to be real within yourself. And we just have to stop all the black, white, or whatever, because we're all the same. Whether you're educated or not, just because, I have master's in social work, business, and education, and working on my master's in leadership, that does not make me more smarter than you, or even the kids, right? We just have to come together for one purpose. And what was that purpose that God gave us? To love one another. And that's it. So in society, like I said, we're the biggest county. And I talked to the the inmates, because they're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I talk to them all the time about, us as black people, we're always doing stuff. So then you get mad when individuals don't want to be around you and different stuff like that. But at the same time, it still happens in the suburbs. You just don't hear about it as much, right? But society is really making it worse for just the African American culture for me, because we have the spotlight on us all the time, and different stuff like that. Here in Mequon, you got your newspaper, your little newspaper where you can see who went to jail and different stuff like that. But for us in Milwaukee, it's plattered all over the news, right? So everything that you also see on the news, there's always other sides to it as well. So as I end what I'm saying right now, what I want y'all to know is that we need to be together as one instead of always being divided. And just look at the fact that we all bleed the same, and all of this racism that is going on. You never know, because I do the blood donations. My blood might be running through your veins. So, at the end of the day, so those are the things like that I just want everybody to just really understand, that we should be as like one, regardless. And history is what it is history, but we have to move forward. And moving forward is doing right and doing the will of what God says we should do.
Yeah. No, that is great. That is great. And I feel like, we talked about, how do we move forward, right? And part of that is we get together at Rotary Park on July 20th, right? And we get to know one another. And we have you guys up here, and we go down there. And I mean, this is all part of that. How do we become one if we don't know one another, And so
I always tell Jeff, it's so simple, it's complicated. All you got to do is talk. That's all you have to do is talk.
And the biggest thing is that when we're talking, communicating, or whatever, we all have a story to tell. And some of our stories may be similar. Whether you are a brown person, white person, Indian, whatever you are, I guarantee you we can sit here and we can have some stories to tell. Whereas I'm not a foster kid, but I was raised predominantly by my father when I came home. My biological mom, she's around or whatever their situations was, that was 2 kids, they had me, and I'm sitting here today. But at the end of the day, and to look at it all, is that my dad taught me a lot of values. And I talk to him sometimes like, wow, I'm like, I got this strong personality. But I had to realize that I was raised by a man. I was daddy's little girl, but I carry a lot of those characteristics where it's stern, firm, and this is just what it is. So that being said is that you have to learn who you are and where you came from as well. Even though I have the foster children or whatever, sometimes I would feel like, dang, maybe I'm a foster kid, but not a foster kid, because I did have some of those similarities far as like not being with my mom, and not being with my other siblings, because I was raised with my dad and I'm the only kid that he has, and different stuff like that. So I just take all of that to say that we all have similarities here, and we have to really be real with ourselves, and we have to stop hiding those things and act like we're so high and mighty, because that's a lot of times that what happens, we get so high and mighty that we forget that we still might have the same similarities or going through the same thing that someone else is.
Yeah. No, that's great. I want to just ask about I know you guys are still doing foster care and have adopted. Tell us how you got into that, and what you might want us to know about, foster care or your kids.
He got roped into it.
She got me into it.
he got duped into it because of me. Remember I said that I have an MSW as well. So I was a social worker, and I worked for the state of Wisconsin. And it was very hard for me to see, I don't have fear walking out, right? Remember I told you, this stool's getting a little comfortable. So I'm just gonna stand right here. So it was going out there. I didn't have fear, because it was just like, okay, I gotta go do my job, X, Y, and Z, right? So the issue with me was I'm going into these individual houses, and I'm traumatizing families and different stuff like that, because the kids see me or the family see me. What do they see? They finna come take my kid. But I have to always explain to them, like, hey, if you gotta tell me the truth first. So I ain't the only one make this decision, but you gotta be correct. You gotta tell me this, that, and the other, and be real with yourself. So I didn't take a lot of kids out of the home, but I also provided them with resources, and I said, okay, you know what? I think I can do this. So I looked at all of just my life, my family's life, and all of that. And then I said, well, you know what? We could do this. So I had a kid that I was their crisis worker. Nobody wanted this kid because she was just like, oh my gosh, she was the worst of worst. She would mark your car up. But she had so much respect for me, because I was like, listen, what you're not going to do. So what that was is that mother came out of me, and I gave her a sense of still family, but I didn't make her feel belittled. But what you're not going to do, because if you do this is what's going to happen. And so I told him, I said, we got to take her in, because won't nobody take her. We got to do this. Oh, no. Whatever. I said, this is what we going to do. So that's how we ended up getting into foster care right then and there. And we just been going ever since.
That's great. And tell us, I mean, not all of us obviously are in a position or to be foster parents, and but how can we as a church or as individuals kind of support foster care, support foster care parents?
So we'll start off with, how do you support the kids? Just knowing that a lot of times people want to save. I'm sorry. A lot of times people want to, with African Americans, and what I've seen is in the white culture or Caucasian culture, it's about, oh, I gotta save them. I want to save them. No, they don't need to be saved. What they need is love and guidance. And it's about how you give the love, and it's about how you give the guidance. You have to make them feel as if they're a family. And I think that all of you guys in here can do that, but you just have to know, once again, whatever your history or whatever that may be a similarity to them, it may manifest out. So how do you handle that? Okay? So it's about being able to handle that, but being a family, being able to meet them where they are. Because you may be called everything under the sun. You may be get your house tore up. It could be a whole plethora of things that happen. But you have to be able to understand that when you were a kid at one point in time, what happened? A lot of these children out here, they wasn't really taught to do right. So now it's my job or your job to kind of teach them. So if you want to really get into this, you have to be able to be a family to them. And it's very hard for
they need mentors and everything.
Yeah, and it's very hard sometimes for on the Caucasian side or something like that, because they look at you as if you gonna call them people on me and then I'm gonna be taken out again. Because years and years ago, that's what it was. It was easier to remove children out of the home, okay, than it was to work with those families. Because a lot of times the workers they don't like confrontation. I'm one who like, listen, tell me the truth. Did you hit this kid? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, is this the first time that it happened? Yes. Okay, so that means it is situational. What happened? So a lot of times people don't sit and ask the parents, what was going on? What happened that this happened? You know what I'm saying? But no, instead they're like, well, the mother's confrontational, the dad is confrontational. So therefore, they go talk to the supervisor, then they come back, well, we gotta take the kids. So everything is all over the place. So if you guys wanna do something, it's just about being a family, being a mentor. But just knowing that they will take that kindness that you have and they will try to manipulate it, but you just have to understand that how do you deal with that, okay?
As a church, you can be there for just for support, for they have somewhere to come to, the parents, because it gets overwhelming. To come to have somebody to talk to, or just to pray with them, or lean on them, or maybe take the kid for 24 hours, because they have a thing they call respite. You can, you don't have to have a kid, but you can like babysit a kid for like 2 days to give the parents a break. But it's all in, every little bit helps. Okay, foster care has more kids than parents that want to take them. Now we got a lot of people we have more people that do a lot of talking, but you don't have a lot of people doing a lot of action. And you don't have to take a kid, but you can support a family emotionally, spiritually. It don't have to be money. We all think about money, like she was saying, like foster kids, they don't care nothing about your money. And when people meet them and say, oh, he's so cute, he's so nice, they're used to all of that. People buying them stuff, giving them the best stuff. They don't care about that. They want discipline and love and trust, just like a lot of grown people.
Yeah. No, this is really helpful for us, you know, and that we talked a few Sundays ago about, you know, what is the opportunity that God might bring to us as a church or as individuals, and how do we, you know, take advantage of that, and you know, so we are so glad to know, we're so glad to know y'all, and your church and what y'all are doing and the issues in the foster care system and how we can, be a part of that. And, we want to keep thinking and praying about that. How do we help?
Keep thinking, come up with ideas. July 20th, we're getting together. Picnic, right?
Yes. Sign up, Fellowship Hall today. Yes.
And before I close out, me and Jeff were having a big conversation about this, about our church and the inner city church. We talk about this all the time. And I told him this. I said, listen, the people in the suburbs don't come to Milwaukee, I know that, because of what they see on TV. Okay, I understand that. I'm not saying all, but some, because they see it on TV. But just like the black people, we don't come to the suburbs because we scared we gonna get arrested or pulled over or asked why we in this neighborhood or whatever. That's just a reality. And I told them, we don't like to, we know it, we don't like to say it. But to get to know somebody or know something else, you have to go there. It's just like in the Bible. He told Abraham to go. Abraham went somewhere and lied about his wife. Why? What was his reasoning? He didn't know that God was there too. Just like God is here, he's down there too. You have to go and see. You have to go and see and fellowship. Now, we've been fellowshipping for about a year or so now, and guess what? It's a beautiful thing. I know from our end, there's a lot of them that learned a lot. And I know from this end, there's learned a lot. And this is the main thing that we all learn. God is everywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you all. Thank you.